Montgomery County Office of Community Partnerships was established by former county executive Isaiah Leggett to strengthen ties to its ethnic communities with the goal of becoming America's most welcoming community. Leggett led a delegation of 60 people to El Salvador, where he signed the first Sister City Agreement with Morazan Governor Miguel Ventura in July of 2011. The following year, in 2012, Leggett led a delegation of 40 people to Gondar, Ethiopia, where he signed the second Sister City Agreement. Leggett went on to sign Sister City Agreements in China in September of 2013, India in October of 2014, and South Korea in 2017. Following the departure of County Executive Leggett, Councilmember Craig Rice led a 19-member delegation back to Gondar in January 2019.
We had a fantastic trip that enabled us to see the sights and sounds that Gondar, Ethiopia had to offer, as well as talk with elected leaders about what was important to them and how we could best foster an even stronger relationship between Gondar, Ethiopia and Montgomery County, Maryland. Please watch and see all the great things that we were able to do.
The delegation was immersed in Ethiopian culture immediately upon arriving in Addis Ababa, where they had dinner at the Yad Abyssinia Cultural Restaurant and visited the National Museum of Ethiopia, which is one of the highlights of their brief stay in Addis Ababa.
Female between the age of 18 to 25. And let's believe that it is a link between, it's very important link between the present human beings.
It was farewell Addis Ababa, hello Gondar.
Great.
The delegation was well received in Gondar, where it embarked on its mission to donate computers, books, supplies, sports equipment, and medical supplies to a local health clinic. The visit to the Debre Berhan Selassie Church was enlightening. Angels adorn the ceiling of this 17th century church. The delegation was treated to a festive reception hosted by the mayor of the city of Gondar. Ethiopia is rich in religious tradition, as experienced at this baptismal ceremony in Timken. Notice the blessings of the cross in the baptismal water. Jumping into the water is a highlight of the Timken festival and symbolizes the baptism of Jesus and the redemption of their sins.
I'd like to say you are welcome to Gondar.
Thank you. Thank
Welcome back to home as well. We belong the same blood.
Yes.
This is your hometown. I know also Montgomery College. I work with you also in different, especially related with my profession. This Gondar was the capital of Ethiopia. From 1600 up to 1800 used to be a capital of Ethiopia. And there was the famous king named called King Fasilides. He founded Gondar as the capital of Ethiopia 1600. This king had three major reasons to choose Gondar as the capital of Ethiopia. Because before Gondar was the northern part of the lake called Gorgora. It's like 60 kilometers away from here. That was the former capital. But King Fasilides, when he took a power from his father, he shifted the capital from the northern part of Lake Tana to Gondar. The main reason was, one of the main reasons was topography. As you have seen, Gondar is surrounded by 7 chain mountains. It's an advantage for military strategy. If you go to the former capital was a flat, had not advantage for military strategy. And the second reason was water supply. And the last one was altitude. Gondar at sea level, 2,250 meters above sea level.
The castle was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. It should be noted that this is the only castle in Africa. Members of the Montgomery County delegation met with the mayor and department heads at City Hall. The delegation is receiving a quick lesson on the Ethiopian calendar. The donation of computers, books, supplies, sports equipment, and medical supplies for the health clinic was a critical part of the Goodwill mission. The gifts were well received. It was with great pride that the Montgomery County delegation presented 5 desktop computers and 10 laptops to 2 primary schools. The birthday of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was celebrated at the University of Gondar. After the MLK presentation, Montgomery College and the University of Gondar's administration collaborated on ideas to strengthen their partnership. 90 students and faculty showed up to support the Martin Luther King birthday presentation. During this time, Casey Caseman, Montgomery County's interfaith liaison, had an intimate discussion with prominent interfaith leaders about the impact of the religious community. The Gondar partners made sure the delegation visited the Simien Mountains, which is a UNESCO site and home to globally threatened species, including the gelada baboon, and has one of the most spectacular landscapes of jagged mountain peaks, deep valleys, and sharp precipices. Montgomery County blended in splendid with the locals. In Gondar, a tree will be planted at a park dedicated to former county executive Isaiah Leggett. A few members of the delegation made their way to Lalibela to see the famous underground churches. Others took a 2-hour road trip to the beautiful city of Bahardar, a place of beautiful, peaceful, calm waters, sitting alongside Lake Tana, the largest lake in Ethiopia. No visit to Bahardar would be complete without visiting the old island monasteries. There are some 37 islands around Lake Tana housing 21 monastery churches. The round-shaped building is covered from floor to ceiling with vivid mural paintings depicting miracles, archangels, biblical and Ethiopian ecclesiastical stories. These paintings were done in the 16th century and later renovated in the 19th century. The monastery has 3 sections. The first is where the archpriests and deacons can enter for prayer. A second section for Holy Communion, and lastly, a section for prayer through singing and dancing with a special drum. Bahadar is the former capital of the Gohan province and the current capital of Amhara regional state in Ethiopia. It is known for its wide avenues lined with palm trees and was awarded the UNESCO Cities for the Peace Prize addressing challenges of rapid urbanization.
For me, having been involved in this sister-city relationship since the beginning, it has been overwhelmingly rewarding to see that it's actually being sustained.
From the Caribbean. We have a very strong connection with Africa and the Caribbean. And as you know, many of us have come from different parts of Africa. And so as I drove through the streets, it was so heartening and almost welcoming, as everything that I saw seemed, I could identify something about the Caribbean almost everywhere I went, and that was very meaningful to me.
It's been good to come here to see Ethiopia through a different lens, a lens that doesn't look like a television, but to experience and go back and tell the real story. Josephine asked us each day what was a highlight, and so for me to be able to sit at the table and talk with your faculty and hear deans and see that things that we had discussed the night before was also aligned with what your folk at the institution was talking about was a very powerful moment, so thank you for that moment.
I would like to ask every one of you to send us comments, suggestions, and any kind of feedbacks based on strengths of your state, how we try to coordinate, weaknesses that we have to correct for the future, and the way forward. So, finally, indicating your premises to play a leading role in consolidating and strengthening this partnership. So, I hope every one of you can send an email to Josephine, and Josephine can forward for me if you don't have my email.
I would like to tell you that this, what you saw in Temkat, Gondar, Simien Mountains, will go after some time. To keep the memory with you, I advise you to write something. You write something and bring it together so that it would be a very good memory. I would like everybody to have his or her own action plan, so that with that action plan we will continue our interactions. So do that. I hope we will keep in touch with everyone of you. I hope you will come again, and I will try to see you even at your city when I come to Montgomery in September.
Trip wrapped up with a visit to the Addis Ababa University Museum.
as you can see, we had a fantastic trip, an opportunity for us to have cultural exchanges, educational exchanges, and economic development conversations about how we can continue to support our communities abroad. I am looking forward to welcoming the Gondar, Ethiopia delegation later this fall, and I'm looking forward to returning to Gondar, Ethiopia to make true on the promise that we will continue to provide support for our sister city. It is incredibly important for us as we honor these commitments to make sure that we're following through. Follow us as we, again, make sure that Gondar, Ethiopia becomes an example of what sister cities should be throughout this nation. Thanks for watching and take care.